Welcome to my channel. Most organizations still discuss AI governance as a technology topic. Boards are beginning to understand that the issue is much larger. As AI becomes embedded into core business decisions, governance is shifting from technical oversight toward institutional accountability. This presentation explores why AI governance is rapidly becoming a board-level capability, how enterprise risk is changing in the AI era, and why governance maturity may become one of the defining competitive advantages of the next decade. The central question is no longer whether organizations will adopt AI. The question is whether they can govern it at enterprise scale. If you find these enterprise AI discussions valuable, you may consider subscribing to my YouTube channel for future deep dives on leadership, transformation, and AI execution. The fundamental shift is that AI is no longer operating at the edge of the enterprise. Historically, AI existed inside innovation teams, experimentation environments, and isolated analytics functions. Governance focused primarily on technical concerns such as model accuracy, fairness, and performance. Today, AI increasingly influences decisions that carry direct financial, operational, legal, and regulatory consequences. As a result, governance must move beyond model oversight and into accountability design. Organizations now need clear answers to critical questions. Who owns AI decisions? Who approves exceptions? Who escalates failures? And who ultimately remains accountable when AI-driven outcomes create enterprise risk? These are governance questions that increasingly require board-level attention. AI is becoming embedded in the decisions that shape enterprise outcomes. Pricing, underwriting, procurement, fraud operations, customer engagement, workforce allocation, and risk prioritization are increasingly influenced by AI-driven recommendations and automated decision flows. The significance of this change is often underestimated. When AI influences these functions, governance failures are no longer technology incidents. They become business events. A model error can directly affect revenue, customer trust, operational continuity, compliance obligations, and strategic outcomes. As AI becomes woven into daily enterprise operations, governance must evolve from controlling technology to governing decision systems. That distinction is becoming increasingly important for executive leadership teams. Traditional technology failures were relatively straightforward. A system failed, an alert was triggered, the issue was diagnosed, and operations were restored. AI failures behave differently. They are often probabilistic, adaptive, and systemic. Performance can degrade gradually rather than fail dramatically. Model drift may remain undetected for weeks, while decisions slowly become less effective. Adaptive systems may change behavior as new data arrives, creating risks that static governance models struggle to detect. And because AI is embedded across interconnected processes, failures can propagate simultaneously across multiple business domains. The challenge is no longer simply preventing outages. The challenge is continuously monitoring evolving decision systems before small governance failures become large enterprise events. One of the most important governance realities is propagation risk. A single model drift event, vendor outage, or governance gap can trigger consequences across multiple risk domains simultaneously. Operational processes may degrade, regulatory obligations may be breached, financial performance may be impacted, and customer trust may be damaged. In sectors such as banking and insurance, these effects can compound rapidly, but the principle applies across all industries. The more AI becomes integrated into enterprise operations, the more interconnected risk becomes. Boards are increasingly concerned not just with individual model performance, but with the ability of the institution to absorb, contain, and recover from AI-related disruptions. Leading organizations are responding by building layered governance architectures. At the top, boards establish AI risk appetite and define acceptable levels of exposure. Executives are responsible for resilience escalation, and governance execution. Central governance teams provide controls, auditability, and regulatory alignment. Business units remain accountable for outcomes generated by AI systems within their domains. And enterprise architecture teams ensure traceability across the entire AI lifecycle. This layered structure is important because AI risk cannot be managed by a single function. It requires coordinated accountability across governance, operations, technology, risk management, and business leadership. Unfortunately, many organizations are not structured for this governance model. Product teams are rewarded for speed and innovation. Risk teams are rewarded for preventing incidents. Architecture teams inherit increasing complexity as AI is integrated into legacy environments. Each group operates under different incentives. The result is organizational friction. Governance is often viewed as a barrier. Risk teams become perceived bottlenecks, and architecture teams struggle to manage expanding dependency chains. The challenge is not a lack of technology capability. The challenge is aligning incentives, accountability structures, and governance responsibilities so that innovation and control can coexist. Many organizations continue to rely on the idea of human-in-the-loop governance. The problem is scale. When AI systems operate in milliseconds across millions of decisions, human review becomes largely symbolic. In dynamic pricing environments, no human can validate every decision. In fraud operations, human review focuses on exceptions rather than the full decision stream. In customer servicing, AI-driven decisions occur continuously and at enormous volume. The reality is that governance cannot rely solely on manual intervention. Effective oversight must be embedded into architecture, controls, monitoring systems, escalation pathways, and operational guardrails. The future of governance is engineered oversight, not manual supervision. One possible governance mechanism is the AR Risk Appetite Statement, or ARAS. This is a board-approved framework that defines how much AI-related risk the organization is willing to accept. It establishes acceptable thresholds for model performance, bias, confidence levels, and operational exposure. It defines which decisions can be automated, which require human involvement, and which should remain outside AI authority altogether. It also establishes escalation triggers and reporting requirements. Most importantly, it aligns governance with enterprise resilience, regulatory expectations, and operational realities. In many ways, ARAS performs for AI what traditional risk appetite frameworks have long done for financial and operational risk. The next competitive divide will not be model capability. It will be governance maturity. Most organizations are currently focused on model performance. Leading organizations are moving toward process maturity, where governance is embedded into workflows, accountability structures, and monitoring systems. The most mature institutions will eventually reach institutional maturity. At that stage, governance becomes part of enterprise architecture itself. Risk appetite is board-directed. Telemetry is continuous. Ownership is explicit. And governance evolves as rapidly as the AI systems it oversees. This is where sustainable competitive advantage begins to emerge. The key takeaway is simple. AI governance is no longer a compliance exercise. It is becoming a strategic enterprise capability. Organizations that treat governance as a constraint will struggle to scale AI safely. Organizations that treat governance as infrastructure will move faster, operate more confidently, and build greater institutional resilience. The board's role is no longer to approve AI initiatives after the fact. It is to define the risk boundaries within which AI can create value. Governance is no longer the brake on enterprise AI. It is becoming the steering system. And increasingly, that steering system is a board-level responsibility.